Here we are on the temporary last day of the Merc. When I say temporary, because it ain't done till it's done. With the recent events that have unfolded with the engine, that thing in there, we are going to consult a professional. I made a couple choices yesterday after the other video. Jamie and I found two 15 by 8 inch rims. So we're going to use the narrowed axle, or well, not narrowed, but it's narrow. People mistook this for being the stock axle, I think. But it's out of I think it's like a S10 or something. It's a reasonably strong rear axle. We're going to go front to back and just finalize a few things to get this on the ground. You see I raised the ride height a little bit, so let's get into the front, back, side to side. That's how we'll do it. We'll do a front, back, side to side. Let's start under the radiator on the front spring and end up somewhere over there. Let's do it. Okay, so the thing is, I'm probably gonna have to trailer this car somewhere, and I want to get the, thing situated enough to be secure, to roll it, transport it, etc. So if you remember, I had the leaf springs kind of bunched up under here in a weird way. I had some extra leaves. What I did is I took them off the top of the stack and just rotated them under it so that it would lower the car, it would weaken up the spring rate a bit, and then I was saving them on this little pin here. Yesterday I decided where the ride height should be. There's plenty of clearance for those radius rods for the suspension arms to clear the chassis. That was always an issue. And now I'm just going to put this hardware back together. I think, yeah, we can just set them like that. Man, all of a sudden that's backwards, isn't it? Dang, this is meant to go and push up into the springs, but oh no, it's just gonna work. Hooey. All right. Probably gonna have to put some washers on there. I don't know. Again, we're just trying to get this set for the trailer. I might end up maybe I'll just slap another leaf spring in there as a spacer. Yeah, let's do that. Hope I remember where I put them. Well, I thought that was going to be very straight ahead. As usual, we're running into a snag already. So I'm probably going to time-lapse that because that's going to take a bit. We had this mismatch. This Pitman arm came with a straight-through hole, probably for a Heim joint, maybe with little collars, I'm not sure. So it turns out this was in usable condition. It's pretty tight. There's no real problem with that, but this wasn't beveled. So what I did was I got this ream. This was sold by Speedway Motors, and I just put that right up in the hole so it matches the taper on this ball joint end. Yeah, pretty cool. So the steering will work just fine. It clears the oil pan. The way the factory built this drag link, it was designed to clear that, so nothing's changed. Right now I'm just going to get that leaf spring, just put it in as a shim, and I can get this thing bolted up. So this should be pretty cool too, because I do want the car to sit low, and I do want it to ride stiff, because it's going to have a lot of potential sway with this big heavy engine and the stock spring. So I could put this in like this, just as a spacer, but what if I put it in this way and just crush that? You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'll hit this with a hammer. I think I have my big hammer here. I'm gonna try to blast that. Or maybe I just try to clamp this up like that, and then, yeah, I like this idea better. Just try to crush that. See how that develops. Then we'll put that center bolt back on. Obviously, this was designed for the stock leaf spring stack. That's why these things are shaped like that, for that thickness. Now, if I had an air tool, I'd probably use it right about now. But we're gonna do it the old-fashioned way. Back how they would do it in 1941. Probably didn't have a crescent wrench like this, though. I had some big, clunky, old-fashioned looking thing. Yeah, I don't know if this will potentially lower the car by putting that stress in there, but hey, whatevs. This is what we're doing. And also with the air tool wrench, sometimes it could strip these threads. I've had some weird instances, like especially starting the hardware. See, now that crushed it up a little, you just get that set, because that center is pretty loose now. Now I do have that positioned, I will just bring in that air tool and zing it all together, but I just don't have the right size socket with me. So I still got to do brakes, brake lines. I got to lube the front spindles, the wheel bearings. Always something to do. At least it will steer to get on the trailer by the steering wheel. Yeah, I'm also going to dump a bunch of WD-40 in this too before I go any further with that. So, cool. So what I say, front, back, side to side. If you're not sure what that reference is, it's lowrider stuff. When you hit the switches, you go front, back, side to side. Why are we talking about lowriders? The somewhat traditional, custom? I don't know. We live in a twisted world. Anything could happen here. Let's go check out that gas tank. All right, in the back is the fuel tank. This was in the trunk of the car, and I don't think it belongs to this car because it is very clean inside. So it does belong in this car, but something about the condition of it says it may have been sourced or was purchased and cleaned, because some things didn't add up about this. The way that these brackets were put back together, everything looks sort of like this doesn't belong. It's a different color. I don't know what more to say, but the inside of the tank's perfectly clean. It's the right tank for the car. So, took off these brackets yesterday, got this thing set up in here, so it just floats on these tabs that are attached to the chassis, which makes it very easy to install and remove. And I had to get some fine thread 3/8 inch hardware, some bolts, and there's 3 of those that'll hold that on. And then also the old style filler neck. Yeah, see? This is what I was seeing. Something. Well, it'll go. This is a tank for this car, but I don't know that it was actually in this car. Or rather, it's the tank for this model. Let's just say that. But either way, it's going to work. Yeah, these 3 bolts are cool. The outlet is on this side. I put a fresh fitting on that. I was able to take my wet vac and I put a piece of PVC pipe on it, plumbing PVC pipe, and I electrical taped it, and I was able to make a really small, long nozzle, a wand, if you will, and put that inside the tank and shook it, sucked all the grit out, because there was a lot of dust. Kind of like stuff you'll see in the desert, random mouse droppings and sand, but there's no rust in this tank at all. It's perfectly clean. And luckily also in the trunk I was able to find the fuel filler neck. So the fuel cap on these is nothing exotic. I was able to order one of those, and then I went to local auto parts, found this piece of fuel hose specifically for this, so I got to cut this to size, and this goes up in the fender well momentarily. I'm just going to get this tank pretty close to tight. That way I have to shimmy shake it to get that other hose to match. That's what we'll do. And that way when we do get to test running the engine, we won't have to have that awkward auxiliary tank. I always feel like having a gas can with a hose coming out of it is dangerous. Somebody made a really good point also. They're like, you are doing that, you are starting up a fresh build in a garage attached to your house. I said, that's thinking ahead right there. I wasn't even considering that. You know, the disaster scenario. We had that on the TV show once. Floats were sticking in the carburetor, overflowing. Carburetor was overflowing into the engine and all over the valley where the intake manifold was. It's a small block Ford. The guy's not thinking. You probably remember the episode with the hot rod. He literally fires it up, backfires through the carb, and I mean, inferno. The engine is just inflamed. That's not the kind of thing you want happening in your home garage with your laundry so close by. You know what I'm saying? The wife is gonna hate her charred undies. That is gonna be a problem. So next time we start this, we'll be outside or in a commercial workspace. Talk about being in the doghouse. Not the kind of relationship I am looking to nurture. All right, that was very close. Let's see what kind of wiggle jiggle we need to make this happen, because if you've ever done this, you know it could be a breeze or it could be a major pain in the tuchus. Well, you know I said front, back, side to side, but we might go back to the front. I was just looking at this bumper because some folks asked about what bumpers we were running. Stock, that's what's on the back. And I had the front fender, front bumper in the shop on the shelf. So I got that this morning. Yeah, see, there's just something. You know when the washers will like mark on the chassis or whatever part where they've been? So this is a different tank, but hey, whatever. It's all good. The brackets are in a slightly different place than they would have been, but everything is slotted and adjustable. See if we can turn this all the way up. Yeah, just like that. Cool. This is my ground level cam. So yeah, you can see that fitting. It's actually from an air ratchet. What? It'll work. It's got one rib on it. It doesn't need to be a barbed fitting. There's no pressure in the tank. This is just drawing into the fuel pump. I got a big roll of copper fuel line also. So let's go ahead. I don't know if we can see that all the way up, but you know, if this piece comes in here, and that's going up, there's a little buff. So yeah, that comes through here. And then this is on the little mounting stud right there. And it looks like we're gonna need about that much fuel hose. So let's just cut it right to the H. That'll give us another sleeve for another project. I'll be right back. Okay, so yeah, that's awesome. We can actually see this right here. Perfect. So get these two little hose clamps close. All right, let's see if this is gonna be a hassle or if it's gonna work. So I was saying what seems like it's the simplest thing always turns into something. It's always interesting how this stuff shows up at the last minute to kind of bite you. That's another thing. People talking about the mock-ups. Do the mock-ups ever end? No, because if this car was painted, it's the last thing you want to do is be wrenching on this fuel filler with a pry bar. I'm not going to bore everyone with installing that copper fuel line. I'm going to do that, then act like it's all happy and finished. All right, that was exciting, huh? So this is something we were talking about yesterday. See, I just cobbled together some spacers in there just to get that to fit. Because I believe this is a Chevy axle. Or is it a 9-inch Ford? I don't know. But we got plenty of room for some 8-inch wide rims. 235 60/15 tires. You have to fix that spring. I don't know. I guess we'll fire up the welder. Let's secure exhaust A and B with some hangers. Put some little turnouts on there. Actually, this angle looks pretty cool. Probably just gonna zing through both sides right here. In our last conversation, I mentioned I had to trim this cross member a little bit. I'll handle that. Now, got our exhaust hanger somewhere. Yeah, this is so close. Probably just do this. What I was saying is these are posable, so you can twist it like that. Yeah. I want this to come in because we want this to be supportive. We don't want it to bang off of the car. So the whole thing with a nice short exhaust bracket is you don't want it to wiggle. You know, you don't want this thing flopping around because it'll fatigue and break, but you do want it flexible. You don't want it to crack. So with this hanger right here, I could take this off and weld it right to it. Secure and a little flexible. Onto the other side. Okay, we're buttoning it up. Back to the front, as I mentioned, just put this bumper on. It's funny with the Zephyr, I didn't know how these bumpers were installed. You can see the brackets kind of split the frame. One bracket goes on the inside, one bracket goes on the outside. Like as usual. Easier said than done. I don't know why it would be so difficult to put a bumper on a car, but here we are. Wrestling again. All right. Well, that's another edition of Home Garage. Never ending, it seems, but we're going to take this to a professional. Now it's got its roll on. We get this thing fired up proper from the gas tank to the radiator to both exhausts, both bumpers. Next time you see this, it'll be running and driving. I said by the spring, it's almost February 1st. We're on track. Little snafu with the engine, but hey, that's purely mechanical. Nose can come off, engine's out, dial it in, brake lines, we're down the road. Next time you see this Mercury, we're gonna be in the driver and passenger seat. Cheers.